I came up with a new show idea, Lubie. And it's going to be a show entitled Loan Shark Tank, where we have like 5 loan sharks on one side, and the people come in, these bust out degenerate gamblers come in, and they try to negotiate better terms on some kind of a loan and also secure the loan, even though their reputations may not match up with what would be considered spot on credit. And you got some guy coming in there going, hey, listen, I'm looking for $600 at 2 points a week. I'm telling you, I'm going to pay you back. I know my reputation is not necessarily exemplary. And, then the loan sharks start picking them apart. It's like, well, what are you talking about, Johnny? 2 points a week. That's laughable. It's 7 points a week just to talk to me. What do you think?
I think it would be classic.
And you get the music going. The guy comes out. He's clearly in need of the money. And they get that. Dun, 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 dun. And you got some guy that looks like Vito. He's Mr. Wonderful's chair, and Mr. Wonderful's chair, and he's just looking at the guy like, what a watermelon.
I was going to say you have to have at least one of the people or behind them enforcers, at least either behind them or off to the side
with that face, that the enforcer always has. Like, let me at him. How about a little taste of pain?
The beginning of every episode, it's a guy that fucking didn't pay last week. So they have to send a message. Shit beat out of him, He's in some trash can peeling himself out. Man, here's last week's deadbeat. What do you think? Did I get some money to produce this thing? Is somebody going to steal the idea? I was afraid to unveil it here on the show because I thought it was brilliant. I think it's funny.
Loan Shark Tank.
The time. Wake up with Defo, joined by Lubie. Welcome to the Defo Show.
All right, pleasant good morning, everybody. Welcome to another edition of the Defo Show, starting out another week of Peel Yourself Off the Mat Monday. Jeff DeForest, we got Mike Lubitz, who I thought surely he would be a scratch today, not to mention his wife, but Shirley as an Surely, Shirley. Yes. He would be a scratch today because rumor had it that he was in intensive care late Saturday afternoon.
I was not happy.
Rooming with Andy, our good friend Andy, who has blood clots and all kinds of other stuff going on. And, there's Lubie, and he's just trying to get over the emotional depression of seeing Florida State and not only not cover a 10.5-point spread, but lose outright on a last-second flimsy field goal by Georgia Tech after a series of really ugly plays. Mike Norvell, who we really wanted to warmly embrace, so all of a sudden everybody's talking about how he was just flatly out-coached in this ball game. 100%. Georgia Tech, Lubie says, and I'll let him, I'm going to tee it up for Lubie here in a second here, because in all honesty, I didn't catch much of this game.
You didn't miss anything. You saw the first.
I mean, is greed good in college football? I'm trying to figure out. I don't know. Somebody might have a number. Maybe our good friend Jim Sarney might have a number on what benefit financially it was to Florida State to play in that ball game. Now, you get an extra game on the schedule, correct, Lubie? You're playing in week 0.
You may. I'm not sure if you get an extra bye. You get something. Either get an extra bye.
Something's happening, right? And how much money from the
Ireland,
Council on Tourism?
I don't know.
To get people to come to that shitty fucking weather and watch a bunch of pasty people shivering and hovering all over each other because it's absolutely impossible to enjoy being outside. And you're out there watching a football. Unless you're recruiting this guy, Nigel the Leg. Remember him from The Replacements? Yeah. The kicker in The Replacements, that stupid movie with Keanu Reeves. Was that a Reeves movie also? Replacements?
Yeah.
He was a quarterback in that?
He's a quarterback. That's where he's the quarterback.
And he was Johnny what? Johnny Montana or something.
Johnny Utah in the surfing movie.
Yeah, with Patrick Swayze. Point Break. That was that movie.
There you go. Good job.
Was Point Break a classic? I don't know. I mean, is it up there with Citizen Kane? I mean, it was
not a great movie, but
a really stupid movie when you really think about it.
It's a cult classic, yes.
Reeves was a horrible actor in there. I mean,
yes. He's not
it's not like he was going to go in front of Lee Strasberg and the guy was going to give him an A. Horrible. Another, but for some reason you could watch that movie 1,000 times, right? Yes. The chick that was in the Naira ads, remember the sort of cross-gender chick? She was the girlfriend in the movie, a little spaced out, right? That Keanu Reeves, he was torn between the fact that he really liked this girl, but he was going to have to bring down her guys. with Swayze in the lead there. And those guys are pretty brazen bank robbers, right? The masks were good. That was about the best thing, the presidential mask. That all being said, I mean, unless you're recruiting some Irish kicker, what are you doing in Ireland, Louie? I'll let you have the stage here because
no idea.
I was thinking about you the entire time. And then I happened to get home just in time to see the game. Well, the final few plays of the game, and it looked like Florida State was going to dodge the proverbial bullet by getting that sack that they did or whatever, that tackle for the loss.
They did a shot. They had just ran it for 2-3 yards. They were in the middle of the field. So it was going to be a straight on kick. And it was a third and short, or no, I'm sorry. It was a second and short or second and average. And they took it out of the shot for some stupid ass reason. Because they hadn't hit on pass, even though the guys were running wide open.
Oh, and the guy fumbled the snap, right?
They hadn't hit on passes all day. So it's like, why are you passing? Your quarterback sucks, but we can't tackle him. So just run. Like, you're going to get 3 or 4 fucking yards. They never got less than 4 yards on any run the entire day. Maybe there was one drive where they got a tackle for a loss, but I would say out of the 40 runs they had, only 2 went for less than 4 yards. Like, run the ball. Like, you run the clock, make them use a timeout, and you're going to get to give me a field goal. Said they snapped it out of the shotgun for some stupid ass reason. The guy dropped it.
Yes.
And FSU actually made a tackle for once after missing tackles the entire fucking day. And
looked like they had preserved
field goal. The guy was not going to make
chance
that
for overtime. Yeah.
13 yards the next play.
Oh, and on a stupid little pass, right?
It was a pass that wouldn't have worked. It was covered. That's what it was. One of them, and it's a litany of things in that game. But that was the amazing part, is as lost as the defense was, a lot of the time they actually were there and just watched guys. I was like, nah, it's all right.
Tell me you didn't know it was over as soon as they got that game, that the guy was going to make the field goal.
It was
even though
after that.
I guess he had missed an earlier kick. I don't know how
it was a far one. It was 52 yards the first one. Like, this was a 44-yarder from an angle, and he almost
with pressure. Sure,
it was horrendous. It was a horrible kick, but FSU gave them what they needed to make it. I mean, that's what they did all day. It was look, and you guys always ask for picks, so it's fine. And starting,
you were okay on this. You were very, very concerned about the outlay of points, thinking that you weren't sure exactly how Florida State was going to line up in this game.
First game,
in terms of readiness, preparation. And it is weird. I mean, one team usually suffers, and it's Hawaii Bowl syndrome, isn't it? One team usually suffers in these circumstances. How much money did they get paid to play this game would be the question, and was it worth sabotaging your entire season? This a season of redemption for Florida State, as they didn't have the lofty expectations of a year ago, where they go undefeated until the final game of the season, when they were completely depleted and depressed after getting fucked. I mean, just straight up fucked by the committee. You can talk all you want about Alabama being. I mean, that was just Nick Saban. And his influence. It's just like when Trump sabotaged the border bill because he didn't want anything good to happen while Biden was president.
Yes.
So rather than have his constituents there, these sycophants that are all hoping he can carry them to victory again, in spite of their undeserving status, they all said, yeah, okay, even though this guy's not in office, we'll go ahead and do what he wants us to fucking do so that he can win the election again. And you're like, what kind of that was like you weren't around at the time, but when Nixon was running for president, he kept promising that he had a plan to end the war, right? And then as soon as he was elected president, he was going to enact this plan. And you're thinking, if you have a plan to end the war, why don't you give it to us now? And maybe somebody can go ahead and implement that plan, and then the war can end. That's talking about the Vietnam War. Because in the meantime, 5,000 people, something like that. I don't know how many people were dying every fucking day there, Americans. It's ridiculous. So, I mean, it's crazy to think that, you could sabotage yourself like this with the game. And how much money was involved there? Do we know?
I just looked it up. I'm trying to see, because Sonny's not responding. I'm trying to see if I can find it myself.
All right. For some reason, when I'm trying to look up odds for things, like I was trying to look up what are the odds tonight. Our handicapper that I often cite from Action Sports here, Sean Trippetti, is recommending that you bet, and you would get a decent price. I believe it's plus 190 for Aaron Judge to hit a home run tonight against the Nationals. Aaron Judge on fire. got to 51 yesterday. And this is a big discussion now with Soto and Judge. And they have like the most home runs as a duo, approaching, I think, or maybe narrowly behind what Mantle and Maris had during 1961, which Lubie was one of the great baseball campaigns of all time.
100%.
Being a Yankee fan at the time, and I was a big Roger Maris fan, I favored Maris over Mantle because he never really got a whole lot of attention. This is funny, too, because people diminished Maris's career, Lubie, because of his batting average. And thought, well, geez, the guy was like a 269 hitter. How can you applaud that? Judge is doing this while hitting like 333. Soto is not far behind, having a great year. I mean, talk about a guy with the money on the table that's coming through. Juan Soto, is this not his best year in baseball? Juan Soto? I mean, I know that when he was with the Nationals, everybody was talking about him, and he's pretty young too. Is he only 25 years old, Lubie? Juan Soto, who's
yes, he's young.
In line. I mean, doesn't take a deal. He's got what? Is Boris his agent? You would have to think Scott Boris is involved here somehow. Doesn't take whatever mega deal was available to him. And remember, he turned that thing down with the Nationals a couple of years ago, and then they subsequently traded him to the Padres, who then he ends up with the Yankees, and he doesn't have a deal for next year. Well, we don't know where he's going to be, but could you come through any better than this guy in this situation? I mean, the only thing, what they go on and win the World Series behind an amazing year from Juan Soto. What's this guy worth?
He's going to get it.
Shit. I mean, if Ohtani's worth $700 million, now what did Soto do for himself? Now he doesn't pitch.
Well, he won't make that money. He'll make $500-600 though. He'll make Judge money, Harper money. Like he'll make that. He wanted it. Turned down offers. Played in San Diego, but is showing you why he turned down the ridiculous contract the Nationals originally offered him. Like he's at the plate, he's as talented as any. I mean, he's young. There's a reason he won the World Series MVP.
Yeah. I mean, it makes what Judge is doing even more, more remarkable because you're looking at he's just absolutely, annihilating Soto in most of the stats, and Soto's having a great year. It's amazing, right? I mean, his batting average is like 30 some odd points higher. I think Soto was hitting around 300. I don't know if he's tailed off recently, but he was in there at like 307 a week ago. And he almost has 40 home runs, right? 37, 38 homers. And here's Judge with 51 homers. He's well over 100 RBIs and hitting 333. Unbelievable. So would you bet on him to, at plus 190, hit a home run tonight against the Nationals? The Nationals have a guy that essentially has been throwing beach balls up there, going at Yankee Stadium. But the problem that you have is, in all likelihood, they're not going to give Aaron Judge too much to hit. Now you do have Stanton back in the lineup also.
Yeah, that helps.
Which adds another component here because not only is Judge hitting behind Soto, who's likely to be doing some damage, but he's hitting ahead of Stanton, and they went back to back to back yesterday, Lubie.
Yeah, I know. That's what Andy was saying. I didn't see it, but
and Stanton, you know how he is. He can get on streaks. Yeah.
It's just about being healthy. It's not talent with him. It's that he's always fucking hurt.
Well, even when he's healthy, sometimes, though, he's gone through ridiculous cold streaks, especially at the beginning of the season.
Usually the early of the year. Once you get into the season, if he's healthy, he's raking. He's just hurt more than – it's not hurt as much. He's hurt more. Like, he's usually hurt more than he plays.
Yeah, I would say that probably is, somewhere in the 50-50 area, games played versus games missed. Nonetheless, would you do that? I mean, you're thinking that Judge might get 2 at-bats where he sees anything worth looking at as a hitter. But he's on fire. I mean, he's had, I think, 2 of the last 3 or 4 games. He's had a multiple home run game with a couple of homers. And now 51 home runs. It is a shame about the steroid era and Barry Bonds and McGuire and Sosa and company because it's so inflated the numerology when it came to home runs that you don't know what's believable anymore. I mean, wouldn't you like to see at some point, Mike Vaccaro, our good friend in the Post, was writing about this. You'd love to see it happen one year where somehow Judge hit, what is the record with Bonds, 73?
Yes.
73? I mean, imagine it, 73. 12 homers more than Maris had, and 11 more than Judge had in his best season when he hit 62. What was that? Was that 2 years ago that he hit 62?
Yes. It wasn't last year. It was 2 years ago.
Okay. But very exciting. We've only had this a couple of times. I mean, I was able to follow that 61 season with Maris and Mantle. Mantle got hurt at the end of the year. He was right there with Roger. And they were going toe-to-toe, much like in 1998, McGuire and Sosa in the home run chase, although they were on different teams. So while there's no threat, I can't see any conceivable way where Soto surpasses Judge in home run totals. But could Judge hit 62 again or even eclipse that record? And if he does, see, I don't know. Will anybody ever get near this 73 home run total of Barry Bonds? With the way that Judge has been producing home runs this year, and he's been in the lineup all year long for the most part, I don't know that he's even been on the injured list. I don't think so. I want to say no to that for even a 10-day span. I mean, if he can't do it the way that he's producing home runs, he's not even going to come close. Is it doable without juice? And do we know for sure that there's no juice in the game at this stage?
It's just, I mean, the way the game's played, like guys miss the guys that we have going anywhere near it are guys that miss a lot of time. Ohtani's always hurt.
Yeah,
he's coming off of an injury to the point where he can't pitch this season, which is half of his gig. Judge hurt.
He was on the mound the other day throwing.
Yeah. I mean,
coming back.
He's not pitching this. I mean, he's not pitching this.
Oh, no, he won't pitch this year. But,
yeah, he'll be a pitcher next year, and he'll probably be great again. But again, the guys that have any shot at doing anything home run wise are guys that miss a lot of time. It's just a different era. It's a different era, and the way they pitch is different. And with all the switching of pitchers, I don't know what he did 2 years ago was fucking amazing, and he still only got 62.
Yeah.
I don't see guys getting close against. It's different.
Do they? I mean, I'm not a fan of the asterisk. I always thought that was really overblown. No, well, there should be an asterisk there. It's either in the book or it isn't, right? What are you going to do? If you're going to count that, which I suppose you have to, did they ever prove that Bonds was on the juice, the head size thing, where it blew up to the size of a watermelon and then somehow came back down now that he's not in baseball anymore? That's amazing. Did he go to a head shrinker, Lubie, Barry Bonds? Not sure. But interesting. Would you bet that Judge hits a home run tonight? Plus 190, Lubie.
No,
that gives you some really good logic on this. I'm tempted to go against it just because you know how I feel about overly sophisticated handicapping dissections of numerology.
After going back to back yesterday, no. I mean, they're not going to give him anything to hit.
You're going to give him nothing, right? Nothing. You're going to get nothing.
No, they're going to give him nothing to hit.
All right. So, but I mean, would you lay? It wouldn't be worth betting against it, would it? Not only are you rooting against yourself because I'm a Judge fan and I'd like to see him hit more home runs. It doesn't bother me that the Yankees are winning, to quote the great John Sterling. It doesn't bother because it's going to put more of a focal point on the game if they do something this year.
More interesting, yes. I don't watch baseball at all, but if the Yankees are in the World Series,
if the Twins are going all the way, I mean, nobody gives a fuck.
No, right? I will keep an eye on it to root against them because I hate them with a passion. So
that's just reality, yeah.
Yes, the Yankees are very lightning rod. Either you love them or you hate them. There's really no feeling about the Yankees.
More people hate them, I think, than love them.
But they create a feeling. Again, it's why people think basketball, the NBA is better when there's a juggernaut team because it brings the eyeballs. When you have parity, everyone's happy until their team's out, and then you don't really give a shit. Like, there's a team that's just dominant, especially in baseball, needs it desperately. It brings people like me who love the game but don't really care anymore about it because it's boring as fuck these days. Like, all right, I can root against the Yankees, or vice versa. I can root for the Yankees. You know, the Yankees are one of those lightning rod teams.
All right, well, I have a lot of issues to discuss here. Andy brings up the Little League World Series, which I found myself wanting to watch.
I forgot.
I did not see the entire game. Lake Mary, a team from Florida. Lake Mary, I guess, is
really?
a suburb of the Orlando area.
I didn't know that.
Beats Chinese Taipei.
Really?
A disciplined team that has 17 Little League World Series championships. I think if what I was reading was recent, and you never know anymore, right? Supposedly there had been, I'm going to say prior to this year, 74 Little League World Series championships involving the whole international scene.
Yeah.
And it was 37 apiece, international teams and American teams. California was the state with the most championships with 7. And Florida had a grand total that you could summarize with a big fat round number of 0.0.
Yeah, I was gonna say, when does Florida win?
Never. They were on the brink of elimination the entire time. I believe they lost their first game in the competition, and then we're in the losers bracket, especially prohibitive. You're playing every day. You have these restrictions on pitchers, and I would imagine almost impossible to throw the same guy like 2 days in a row. It seemed like they were playing every day, and they managed to win in dramatic fashion a couple of these elimination games to get to the point where they're taking on Chinese Taipei. They're trailing 1-0. Going to the bottom of the 6th. Now we're talking about a 6-inning game, Lubie. So this essentially is the home half of the final inning. They're down 1-0. They had this fat kid on the team who was a pretty charming character. And he loops a single to left field, scores the tying run, ends up on a throw to third, which originally was there in time, but the third baseman drops it and leaves runners on second and third, including the hitter, the fat kid, who, as I said, was a very likable, embraceable young man.
Yeah, nice.
I don't mean embraceable in that fashion. I mean, it was easy to kind of relate to the idea that, this guy was having a good time playing some Little League baseball. Would it be overwhelming for you, Lubie, if you were like an 11-year-old Lubie?
Yes.
And you happen to have some baseball ability, and maybe you're pretty cocky about it. It seems like kids are far more confident and far less paranoid than we were back in the day. Is that because they're not being browbeaten by insane Bobby Knight-like coaches?
Yeah. I mean, they're told how great they are from birth.
Talking to her, yeah.
I mean, yes, it's annoying to give everyone a trophy, but at least the kids that are good definitely are confident. That's for sure.
All right, so the game ends up the guy that is hitting two away, second and third, chance to win the game. He grounds out to third, and it goes to extra innings. And this is, I mean, in open defiance of everything that you think about when you are looking at something that involves the Chinese, my friend.
Oh, God.
You're assuming that these kids were groomed from the womb to play for this Little League Championship baseball team in a somewhat militaristic fashion. Yep. That fundamentals were going to be, just instilled into their fiber and fabric to the point where they never make a mistake. And that they were, well-schooled and trained in all situations in baseball. And sure enough, how does the game end, Lubie? In the 8th inning on a walk-off sacrifice bunt attempt where the pitcher, there's no one covering first base. The first baseman makes a move for the ball. No one covers first base. The pitcher tries to field the ball. He does, and he throws it to first base with nobody there. And the guy that they were trying to sacrifice from second to third scores the game-winning and championship run in vintage Little League fashion.
I was going to say that's such a Little League play, but like those kids usually don't.
A bonehead play by the Chinese. Get out of here. 17 titles, Lubie.
Oh, that's like, that's literally like before you said the play, you're like, play it first. I'm like, oh, the first, no one goes over there. Because having watched my nephew play Little League for years now, you just always like, no.
First baseman takes 2 steps in, and then he just stands there. He doesn't scramble back to the bag. The only guy that had a play on the ball was the pitcher who plays the ball, but then not realizing that there's nobody standing on the base, he throws the ball in the right field for the game-winning run, the championship run to score. Great stuff. I mean, you couldn't make this up. If you were going to ask yourself what bizarre fashion would the Little League World Series end in, it would be something like that, where they're just trying to sacrifice a guy over to third base, and he ends up scoring because of a bonehead play by the Chinese. Unbelievable. That never happens.
You're paying homage to the Little League because Andy joked Taipei finally agreed to having 25 years or younger on the roster. As much as we make fun of the Little League World Series, if you are going to pay homage to Little League, that's how you end a Little League World Series.
Perfect. Right? I mean, you couldn't ask for anything better. I mean, just a complete bozoic bonehead play to finish things off. By the way, the umpiring, I mean, did all of the umpires in the Little League World Series go to the Angel Hernandez School of umpiring? I mean, how bad are the umpires at that level? I mean, you would think that they could find like a few competent guys that could call balls and strikes for this event. No, I mean, there are no like minor league umpires that are out of work or whatever. It's
just hard. Like I will say, we always sit behind the catcher, and we'll bitch at the umps, but it is hard because the height disparities are very great.
Oh yeah,
kids. And so you're going from a kid that some of the kids are tall that you question it's really a little leaguer, and then some of them are little kid height. So it's like you're changing, and it's every other batter. So you're changing. I will give it. It's hard to find. Like if they were ever going to use a robot, I could see with the little, because at least you could just set it. Okay, this person's chest and stomach is here. This person's chest, like it's just hard for. I could see it being hard to get a gauge on the batters because there's such a difference in height from batter to batter. Like, yes, there are some short and tall people in the pros, but like you usually have a lot more tall than short. You'll have once in a while an Altuve, but most people are very similar within 3 or 4 inches. like the kids, it's greatly different in height.
One guy's 5 feet tall and the next guy gets up there, he's 6'2". Yeah. I always found this. I don't know if it's consistently true through the years, but Little League umpires had a tendency to give you the high strike.
Yes, 100%.
I mean, the ball's like at your eyeballs, and they're calling it a strike.
As long as it's near the plate, they usually give you a strike because they think the kids should just be swinging
at everything. Yeah, I mean, you would be just laced. Your entire life would be ruined with confusion if you were taking the lessons away and applying them to the rest of your life that you learned in Little League Baseball, because you would never know what to swing at. Never.
Swing away.
Yeah. Generally, you would be advised to just swing at everything because that's the way it goes. And then, I mean, there was just a total bullshit call. I guess this was during the rally to tie the game, where the second out of the inning, I mean, the guy clearly checks his swing. And emphatically, the first base umpire, who might have even been a female, I'm not sure. This is not meant to be sexist, but do they have female umpires also doing like boys Little League World Series?
They do. I wouldn't see why they wouldn't have.
May not have been the case. Might have just been a weird looking guy. But anyway, I mean, and he just emphatically rings up this kid for the second out of the inning, which jeopardized the chance. This was before Lake Mary tied the game. But congratulations are in order, right? Florida does it again.
That's great.
Sunshine State, ladies and gentlemen. Gorgeous. Holy time. All right, so that was good. The Travers, we saw a great run. Sarni must have loved this, our good friend Sarni, because he's always looking for balance in the coverage of men and women in sports. And thoroughbred racing is one of the few sports where it doesn't happen that often, but it does happen where you'll have a filly, a female horse, a mare going against male horses. And in general, the concept of male superiority in terms of athleticism, it even applies there because for the most part, it's risky business, literally, to go ahead. And, there have been cases and incidents where female horses have not been the same after racing against males. But in this case, Torpedo Anna, who, I mean, really good account of herself in the Travers Stakes. By the way, a great job on the calls all day long by our good friend Frank Miramati, who still was texting me steam at Colonial Downs. I mean, he's in the middle of calling the Travers. He's on Stidham likes the 10 horse. I'm like, where? Gotta love that, man. I don't know how these guys do that. I don't know if I could have been texting friends while I was broadcasting events. I'm not sure about you, Lubie. You could do it, though. You do it. What are you talking about?
I've done it, yeah.
But you would be like in the middle of a home run call. There it is. It's deep to left field. And in the meantime, you're like texting. I can't believe these fucking assholes are running the ball. I have to commend you on being rather sedate, unless I just didn't see all of the texts that you were sending out during the game.
Don't actively text. I keep my phone in my pocket. Like when there's a commercial or a quarter, I'll look down, and you guys, because Mayo now is a Knoll with his daughter, and the professor was. Because
he was invested. What
did he? The first week of the season, it was the one game, and again, Georgia Tech is a team that people like on the come up. But Florida State just went undefeated and replenished their roster and had a coach that Alabama wanted that just got whatever. They bring over a quarterback that's been in college for 45 years and just played vastly better last year. So yes, if you're going to lean anywhere, to me, it made sense to lean FSU. So Ken was invested. So every time I would look down, there were texts from the two of them. So obviously, I'm going to respond with anger and frustration. But I mean, look, I sat there the whole game going, I expected the first half. I didn't expect the second half. I thought that's one thing I'll give Norvell. That's why when people are saying this season's over, I don't think it's actually over because Norvell is actually good at getting them better as the year goes on. He's now done that 4 straight years.
He had to be totally deflated, though. I mean, what a long flight back that played.
Exactly. It's the kind of thing where you can play rough, play bad, but as long as you win, it'll be forgiven. Because again, you're in Ireland. The line came down. Georgia Tech is a team that people think can be better. So as long as you won, you didn't. That's the funny. I didn't expect a blowout. Even the line. If you had just covered the line, it wouldn't be a blowout. It'd be 10 points, which a top 10 team versus an unranked team. That's an underwhelming performance. But even people expected that because you're going to fucking Ireland with a bunch of kids. Your first game.
Shit happens on those circumstances.
I thought they'd find a way to get a win. What annoyed me was just how poorly they played. They just played.
Such ugliness.
Got the best out of every player they had, and Florida State got the worst out of every player they had outside the kicker. The kicker was fucking outstanding, and the only reason they were in the goddamn game. The dude made a 52-yarder and a 59-yarder, and he made the 59-yarder with lots of room to spare. That actually the only reason the game was close.
We're going to get into this too. I'm stuck for a pick tonight. I'm going to go ahead. We'll get into it in the next segment here of the show because I'm trying to put together the Bury Your Bookie. And I'm 5-0 picking baseball games, but tonight could be the night I take a serious Jerry Lewis-like pratfall. I couldn't recommend, Wheeler, you have to lay 150 with the Philadelphia Phillies if you want to take Zach Wheeler over the Astros, who are on fire, Lubie, if you haven't noticed. Astros on fire. Even surviving an 0-for-5 by Altuve last night to still put away the Orioles and continue their assault on first place, which they now occupy in the American League West. Seattle has fallen apart. They fired their manager, John Service, last week. And since like late June, they've just been a disaster. So, the Astros come into Philadelphia on fire. Philadelphia also playing some decent baseball, a first-place team. Can't lay 150 on that. So I'm leaning towards Lubie going, this... You're going to have to see balls skyrocketing out of, is it still Coors Field in Colorado? Marlins at the Rockies.
I think it is, yeah.
Over under 10 and a hook. Andy actually alluded to this, and I think he would have been cashing big time at a very high ratio to take overs in Marlin games because they actually can hit a little bit and they have no pitching.
Yeah.
The Rockies are bringing a guy off the injured list, making his first start back since August 7th. A guy named Feltner, who Ryan Feltner is 1-10 in the season with an earned run average of a robust 5.
Oh, Jesus.
Against Edward Cabrera, 2-5, 5.65 earned run average. In a place where if you saw at a golf tournament, the BMW thing that was going on this weekend, one of the FedEx Cup championship runs, and I'll never mention Billy Horschel's name again on the show, I promise. Never. Fuck you, Billy Horschel. Right? Nice run there in the British Open. Finished. El Finito since then. But Keegan Bradley, who is Keegan Bradley not the captain of the U.S. Ryder Cup team?
He is, yeah.
For the upcoming, when is that Ryder Cup competition? Do we have any idea? Is it this year? Is it this year at Bethpage Black? Is that possible?
This year. Yeah, I think it's this year.
At Bethpage Black?
Or maybe like next year. I think it's 2025 for some reason. I don't know why I think that's one.
Anyway, this skinny rail of a human being ends up winning the tournament. He bogeyed the last hole. Adam Scott, who's been hanging around, has had a chance to win, I think, a bunch of tournaments this year and hasn't been able to do it. And he has a shot at a birdie on the final hole, and if he makes it, he forces Brownlee to two-putt from a long way away, which he didn't do. Although who knows if the situation was different. If he had to make the putt, maybe he does. But he ends up winning. But the reason I bring it up, Lubie, is because these guys are hitting 400-yard drives in Colorado. Like little schmanky guys are getting up there and just...
Yeah, the Bethpage Black one's in 2025.
Oh, next year. Okay.
Yeah, 2025.
Maybe we should apply for credentials, Lubie. You want to go cover the Ryder Cup? Do a couple of shows from there? I mean... Our stature may have increased by then. Who knows, right?
I'm open to it, yeah, whatever.
If you got the big following, the TikTok people are starting to line up. All right, we're going to come back with more. Anyway, so I'm going over in that Marlins game tonight, 10 and a hook. Is that a mistake, Lubie? What do you think? Two shit pitchers and the conditions in Colorado right now. You're talking about rarefied air.
What was over or under? What was the actual line at?
10.5.
Oh.
You need a 6-5 ball game. That's a lot of runs, no doubt.
A lot of runs, but I mean, from what it seems, neither is pitched.
It's going to be like 4-0 at the end of the first.
And you'll be fine. I would go
Somebody's going to be ahead by like a few runs, don't you think?
Yeah, you go over. I would go
over. All right. So you say make that a play. I mean, I'm risking my reputation, my life.
I mean, I don't know if he'll make that play, but in that game, I'd go over. I mean,
I couldn't recommend the no home run for Judge, which I would be inclined to bet. But I mean, at that point, you're probably laying what? If you're getting 2-1 or plus 190, then what do you have to lay if you're going to go against it? It would have to be more than 1-2, wouldn't it? So, I mean, who's going to do that? Although, like I say, you only have to survive like a couple of at-bats, but then you're going against, I'm rooting for the guy to hit home runs. I mean, how conflicted can you be? Being a degenerate is not easy. Anyway, the Travers goes to fierceness. I meant to complete that thought also. Travers goes to fierceness. Nice job there. This horse, and there was another theory. He threw in a stinker every other race, Lubie. Remember he had that big run in the Florida Derby? We were talking about that on the Mayo Lunchbox specials as we led into the Florida Derby. And then Fierceness wins and runs like a 110 Beyer speed figure, which is extremely high, rarely seen. And then comes back and runs a stinker. And you're like, how is this in the Derby? Kentucky Derby. It was awful. Comes back, wins again, comes back, loses again. And what was due now for a loss after winning the Jim Dandy at Saratoga had a win in a race over the track already and hangs on to win. But Torpedo Anna, who a filly going against males, was one step away from winning the race, possibly, Lubie. Coming like a rocket ship at the end, even though she was supposed to be on or near the front. So it was pretty cool. Good race and a good day. Great weekend all the way around. The Canes and the Gators. We're going to have to get into that a little bit, Lubie.
It's next week, by the way. They play.
Oh, it's not this week?
No, it's not. UM doesn't play for 2 fucking weeks. They don't play the first 2 weeks, the week 0 or week 1. It's next weekend. It's week 2, that fucking game.
Oh, yeah. Wow. It says here Saturday, Miami, Florida. 2.5 over the Gators.
Let me see.
I think you got Thursday, Friday, Saturday games, and that's one of the Saturday games.
Oh, so okay, they do play this week. All right, good.
Yeah, wow, you scared the fuck out of me.
Yeah, they play. Okay, good.
I'm thinking I'm giving out a pick
I
for
thought
next year.
Fucking weeks, and I'm like, that's ridiculous.
Do you trust Cristobal? All right, let's get some words in for some of our friends here that sponsor the program, and then we'll come back with more in a moment. Now that
the time
Cristobal factor looms large in that game, doesn't it? What a fool! It's 8:39.
Here, let me ask you a question. What do you look for when you go out to eat? Good food, obviously, friendly atmosphere, not too loud, but good energy, reasonable prices, and a place where you feel comfortable. All those ingredients, no pun meant there, are hard to find unless you're talking about the Texas Roadhouse. You see, they encompass all of those attributes. Really, really good food, amazing atmosphere, good for a family, good for a date, or just a night out for yourself, and prices that will make you extremely happy. Their ribs unmatched, steaks hand cut every day. Everything, and I mean everything, is made on site, including their incredible bread. It's the one day, folks, that you can forget about low-carb diets. Trust me when I tell you, Texas Roadhouse, your restaurant, your destination when you say, where should we go and eat tonight?
From the newly renovated sports bar to the beautiful bayside views captured at the Tiki Bar, Jimmy Johnson's Big Chill has it all. Located at mile marker 104, the Big Chill also offers waterfront dining while experiencing breathtaking sunset views of the Florida Keys. It's simply the hottest spot in the Keys to cool off. That's Jimmy Johnson's Big Chill at mile marker 104 in Key Largo. For more information, call today at 305-453-9066.
Francois Lebec. Good morning, Francois.
Listen to me one moment, please. You fat ass. Tired of the way you speak about the Canadians? We are good people. We are vacationing on the beach. We bring our dollars here, and you're always putting down the Canadians. And me, personally, am sick and tired of your crap. And you're not losing weight. I saw you the game. You're fat like a pig. The other thing that I would like to say is that you're going to throw out some baseball. I will be there personally to boo you out of the stadium. We come here as good people, friendly people, nice people. We don't need you to speak like you speak, Jeffrey, the fat ass DeForest.
The Defo Show, featuring Lubie. We now return to the Defo Show.
I assure you, Lebec, the feeling is mutual. Go fuck yourself. All right, welcome back to the show. All right, that game is Saturday. The Hurricanes and the Florida Gators at the Swamp. Normally would be a huge thing. I'm not sensing that there's that much of a buildup for this, Lubie. What are you sensing anywhere around? I mean, wouldn't there be some conversation about this? Maybe overshadowed because Florida State went out there.
Down here, it's big down here because UMF at UF, and we have UF fans all over the place. But no one cares nationally. It's Miami's top 20, and I don't really because they got Cam Ward. If they didn't get Cam Ward, they wouldn't be ranked. I mean, I know
Cristobal ruined Cam Ward.
He's recruited well. Yeah, he's ruined every quarterback.
He ruined his quarterback.
He's ruined every quarterback. He with Justin Herbert's like fucking what the hell's his name with Michael Jordan? Like the only guy that ever
Van Dyke
looked average was fucking Mario Cristobal. No, the old saying, the only guy that
Justin Herbert, yeah.
The only guy that ever stopped Michael Jordan. I'm trying to think of the great North Carolina head coach. The guy that had the four corners, the coach.
Oh.
Like that's what Cristobal was to Herbert. Like Herbert only looked average in his
Dean
career.
Smith, you're thinking.
Yes,
It took
Dean
me a
Smith.
while. I mean,
Dean Smith. Well, I didn't even think about it at all. So there you go. You got me beat. Dean Smith for Jordan is like fucking Cristobal to Herbert. Cristobal's literally ruined it. Every quarterback he had was better before Cristobal got there. Van Dyke was a Heisman candidate twice.
I mean, the kid looked like he was going to be a monster, right? Remember, I'll never forget when we were doing the show and we we're talking about Van Dyke and people were just raving about this guy, raving about him. It was unbelievable. And next thing you know, he was incompetent enough to actually be benched for a guy that didn't really look like much. Incredible. So, I mean, Cristobal's had that habit. The dumbest move I've ever seen by a head coach in any sport, manager, coach, ever, what was the non-taking of the knee in that game that they would eventually lose, also having to get beaten by two sensational pass plays with no time left in the ball game. Was that Georgia Tech also? Who was that?
It was Georgia Tech. It was the beginning of playing better ball. After that, Miami struggled and Georgia Tech played better. That's why people look. Nick Saban said Georgia Tech is a team to watch this year. Like Brent, is his name Brent P, whatever the fuck his name is.
Yeah,
people like him a lot, and he's made them disciplined. Look, you saw it. Like they don't have the talent, but they're well coached. They're disciplined. They're fundamentally sound. They're the kind of team that will give teams fits because teams like taking weeks off, especially early in the year. And Georgia Tech is a team you can't take off. I mean, Miami couldn't take the last playoff. Miami tried to run it for no fucking reason, and Georgia Tech's like, all right, fuck it. And then they literally make two great plays, make a big catch on the sideline, and then make a 40-yard catch to end the fucking game when all you had to do was be prevent, and there was no way they were going to score.
You can't make that mistake. I mean, you absolutely can't. As a head coach, that would be cause for immediate termination. If it wasn't written in his contract, that if you blow a game where all you have to do is take a knee at the end of the ball game and the clock will evaporate and that's it, the other team will have no chance to beat you, 0.0 chance, then you immediately lose the job, no, and should never be allowed to coach again. So that being said, Lubie, now we know that Billy Napier is on the ropes here with the Florida Gators. They just haven't been able to really turn the corner, which we thought Florida State was doing or had already done with your man, Mike Norvell, who you despised.
I don't know. You lose games, whatever.
Napier comes in there, and I believe he was pretty popular, right? Didn't he have some success right out of the gate there? And people were thinking, okay, this guy's not bad.
Well, no, Anthony Richardson was good. He's been horrible. That's the problem. That's why he's literally – Cristobal hasn't been better, but Napier's been so bad that, like, at least Miami won more games last year. Yes, it was one of the easiest schedules you'll ever see, but at least they did win more games. Gators obviously every year have a tough schedule, so they won less games. So Napier actually has been horrible. He just got credit for Anthony Richardson being a top 5 pick, which it actually should have gone the other way. It's you have a top 5 pick. Why is your offense so fucking consistent and weird? Why were you not able to develop that quarterback better? Richardson was drafted purely on potential, not on anything he had done because he was horrendous in a Gator uniform. Napier's not good. That's the problem with this game is it's two coaches that one's on the hot seat now, and if he loses the kind of games he probably will lose this year, will not have a job. The other, because of the contract.
Yeah, that's the only reason he's not on the hot seat, Cristobal.
But he would be on a hot seat if this year goes the way it could go.
This was the last year of his contract. You would likely, cash if you bet that this would be his last year.
The problem is it's a 10-year deal at $80 million, and this is only 3. So you're not going
No, it's not happening. There'll be no change. And there are expectations, I guess. I mean, from what I've gathered by people who have written about the upcoming college football season that it could be decent. Lousy schedule. Cam Ward, a quarterback, one of the top transfer prospects that were available, and he ends up being landed by Miami, and that has been a problem. I mean, when Cristobal ruined Van Dyke, all of a sudden there wasn't much to turn to, and they had no answers. But I mean, you can't acquit a coach at any time. I mean, if the glove doesn't fit, you must acquit. That doesn't apply here, Lubie. You make that kind of a mistake, a bonehead mistake on play calling as a head coach.
That's what Andy
on
is
strategy as a head coach, on the end game as a head coach.
That's what Ken
And literally take a victory from your team when it isn't like you had to risk anything at that point. Nothing.
No, you just kneel. Look, everything that happened after the fact shouldn't have happened. Look, when FSU lost to Jacksonville State, or whatever the fuck the school was 3 years ago, all you had to do was prevent. So to me, it's a very similar situation. But we've seen coaches do or not do prevent and still get fucked. He literally just had to kneel. There was no thought needed.
Nothing.
And they win the game because
it's over. Yeah.
It's over. So yes, that is.
They should have been shaking hands.
Hard to overcome. Again, if coaches improve and learn, like to this day, it'll be tough to understand why the Dolphins lost to the Titans. If McDaniel wins 12 games this year, they go to an AFC championship game, we'll get over that fucking game. That's my thing with Cristobal, is if they're as good as people think they'll be this year, it'll be a moment where they grew as opposed to this thing that should have gotten them fired.
All right, so what do we do with the 2.5 points? What do we do with this thing? The Swamp, very intimidating place to play. We know that. I mean, regardless of the Gator fans, to their credit, I think, are they not loyal? You're on X and Instagram and all of this stuff. Well, what do you see? I mean, the Gator faithful are literally faithful, are they not? I mean, they will root for the Gators no matter how much of a stench they're leaving out there on the field. And they show up, and they're very intimidating as a crowd.
No, it's going to be a nuts crowd. And Cam Ward's first game coming from out west to play an SEC team, whatever you want to say about the Gators, as bad as their defense was, and it was abysmal. They brought a new defensive coordinator. They brought in a lot of different talent. Their coach trying to save his fucking job. They're at home. Like, it's going to be a tough environment. I think the Canes have more talent. Like, the Canes have recruited really well, and they've recruited really well on the lines. Like, again, that didn't work this weekend. FSU's defensive line got blown up. And
the professor had some brilliant analysis about how the Georgia Tech lines had been gutted during the offseason and transition to this year.
So that doesn't always bear out in game one. But if you're going off of, that's all you can do is go off of what you know.
What a fuck up that was.
Miami should be loaded. Yeah, it was. Be loaded on the lines and should be able to win this game. So I would lean Miami. And as the week goes on, I'll probably lean Miami more. But again, it's much like with DJU. We haven't seen Ward in a Cane uniform yet. So I'm just curious. And he, that's the problem with DJU, is he's very conservative, but at least he doesn't make turnovers. Ward makes big plays. He's a highlight reel kid, but he turns the ball a lot. He turns it over, fumbles, interceptions. And that's the kind of thing on the road that can turn a game and put you in a really bad spot where you're chasing points. And so I don't know. I would lean UM, because I don't think either coach is good, and I think UM has more talent. And I think that'll be what bears out this season for them. It saves their ass.
There's no warmth for the visitor at the Swamp. I mean, Florida State, it was kind of congenial, the relationship between the two teams, even though UM and Florida State were bitter rivals. Bitter didn't really apply. They were bitter in terms of the intensity of the competition and the relationships of the players from previously going against each other in high schools. But, you felt sort of well-received there. I don't know. Anytime I visited the Gator campus for anything, and I was there many times throughout the years, I always felt like just kind of a cold.
I feel sick. You're talking about
wall was up there, no? Like you weren't really that welcome if you were from the visiting press.
I've had Gator fan friends. We know a lot of Gator fans, and they're good people.
No, and good people too. I mean, it's not like they're all garbage, that's for sure.
Well, back in the day, at least, they've been humbled the last shit. I mean, Urban's been gone a long time now. They've been the last 14 years, 15 years. They've been humbled greatly, because even when they had,
you're not hearing much from them. You're right.
They weren't good. They have not been a national championship contender literally since Urban Meyer. Even the years that Mullen won 10 games and McElwain won 10 games, they would get blasted in the SEC championship game. Like you didn't believe they were never an actual championship contender. So they've coming back to earth a little bit. But Gator fans were always the most
a bunch of
assholes. Like they were just so obnoxious.
I used to love to intimidate them, and just put on the Gator Nation. It was kind of hysterical. It was almost like following politics now, where I would be bombarded. I mean, there would be a conspiracy to flood my show with calls that were just laced with venom and hate. And they would get like some Gator club together, and I'd take a series of like 10 calls in a row from guys that would tell me I'm an asshole.
Like,
and this was before. I mean, there was much liberal nature towards language on the air, right? There was terrestrial radio, and God, asshole wasn't even a word that you would utter without some trepidation, thinking, "Uh-oh, was that over the top? My God." Right now, look at what's going on. But I mean, I can't imagine what kind of verbal bloodbath it would have been had the Gator Nation been allowed to open up and use swear words and other imaging about compromising positions that I might find myself in as a result of my continued negativity towards the Gator Nation. And then when I was mentioned on the Steve Spurrier show, how great was that? I mean, it's Gator Hotline.
Number one.
And people are calling. Have you heard about this guy, DeFlores, down there in Florida? There was always an element. I don't know. Is there a kind of a sick, weird element to the Gator Nation, Lubie? What do you think? I don't mean to go back to my past ways, but
I don't know if it still exists now. Again, that's the thing is things have changed. They've gotten more humbled because they haven't been good in fucking years. And the rest of the SEC has surpassed. I mean, Alabama became a staple. Georgia became a staple. LSU's won pretty consistently. Where they were the headliners in the SEC, they're more of the middle of the road of the SEC. They've been humbled, but yes, they used to be. Miami fans were obnoxious because they were loud and ignorant. They really didn't know the sport.
Well, unfortunately, since like 2002 or whatever it is, they haven't been all that. That's for sure. It was Jonathan Harris, that guy. I remember we were trying to figure out the kid that was like 5'6", and he would catch a 2-yard pass and then be running down the field and pumping his fists and all of this. And it made it 2nd and 8 in a game you were losing by 10 points. And you're like, get the fuck out of here with that. Incredible. All right. So the Cristobal thing, that makes it a very shaky pick if you're going to go ahead and lay the 2.5 points with the Hurricanes. I mean, that is so egregious, so outrageous. That move to lose that Georgia Tech game. I don't know that, honestly, Lubie, I'm not sure that you should ever get over it, right? I mean, it really is. That to Mario Cristobal is what January 6th was to our democracy. No?
Look,
you're looking going, if a guy could stand by and watch this and then tell you that he's all about law and order, go fuck yourself, Donald Trump.
100%. Look, the fact.
Don't ever show up on my door again with this bullshit, please.
Let me practice for you all week, and you're not even going to give me the play that'll just end the game. Yes, I would have trouble trusting that coach. I 100% agree with that.
Was it not in the playbook?
No, supposedly he says he never does it. Like that's why when people have remembered that he did it at Oregon, he openly said after this game, and they replayed this game the other day.
How stupid did he look, though? You can't look any dumber, right? I know I've looked stupid many times in my life. I've felt stupid. I've looked stupid. I don't know about you, Lubie. I mean,
of course, all the time. I feel stupid now. I said I didn't tell Ken, no, don't bet on my fucking nose. I 100% feel stupid.
No, I thought you were good about that. Honestly, I would give you credit for warning people not to go ahead and get too excited about laying 10.5 points.
I was on the fence, and I told you at the end of everything, look, if it was up to me, I would lay out of the game. Being in Ireland with a new quarterback.
I thought you were actually spot on there, Louis.
But I did pick FSU. I did say I presume.
So they could have won the game. I mean,
and
just
Sarny wanted a goddamn point total, so I gave a fucking score.
Oh, you did?
And when Ken was talking about FSU, I didn't go all in. I was very honest with him.
Ken's logic was, usually, as it always is, spot on.
His logic was spot on. Yeah. I agreed with him. So I didn't tell him, don't make the bet. So I admit I feel a little stupid today that they look fucking
Everybody feels stupid except for the Greek and the guys that with no logic whatsoever said, hey, fuck Florida State. Feinbaum, I'm sure, made a big score on that.
Oh, I can't even imagine. Yeah. I'm not going to, I haven't listened to him in years, and I definitely won't listen to him the rest of this.
Pain was felt here in South Florida. I mean, I don't know how committed Mayo is yet to Florida State. He did buy a shirt there in the store, but I think he had money at the time. We got Joe Beja from Gulfstream Park. His daughter, is she a freshman now too at Florida State?
She's a sophomore, but he's like into it. He wants to go up there this week. They play Monday for Boston College, and they're at home. Thank goodness.
Yeah.
Disaster. He wants to go up there for the game. Like he's gotten really into it.
Geez. Oh, that's crazy. Huh?
I'm not going near that fucking place.
Who would want to schlep that far? I mean, you know what? It was my son went to UCF, and that was more than enough of a schlep. You know, like the first year. And I'm not the type to intrude because I didn't really. I mean, I love my parents, but I really didn't want them showing up at college.
No.
I mean, sometimes, but
once a year they take everyone to dinner if they want to help you move in. I mean, I was a dude, so they didn't
meet the girlfriend on Parents' Weekend.
But yeah, if it's a parents' week, like freshman year, my parents came up. After that, they didn't come up again until graduation. But if it's a daughter, especially a lot of the time, like surely, and again, if you're in Orlando as opposed to Tallahassee, I think our parents came up every year.
But that extra 3.5 hours, Lubie, what is it, 6 and a hook?
It's like if you do it from Miami, it's a little over 6. If you do it from Broward, it's like 5.5 to 6. You have to get gas. Like your gas tank isn't going to get you the whole way. So you
definitely a breaking point for me. I mean, anything over 3 hours, whoosh, I'm out. For those reasons, I'm out. It's Mark Cuban time.
I haven't done that in over a decade, but I used to do that even after college. I did it for the 10 years after college every year at least once.
All right, so help me out here, Louis, because I have to get this together before I do this bury your bookie, and I have my reputation at stake here. And we're trying to establish that we are winners. Although the handicappers I've brought on, well, I guess the professor, he redeemed himself with his pick of New Mexico getting points, getting like 13.5 against Montana State, and the game was close. It was like 4 or 5 points, something like that. And so he hit that one. The Greek did have Georgia Tech, and no logic behind it whatsoever, saying just take the points.
Which is
he'd rather be lucky than good. I don't know where he's getting his information from, the Greek, but
he listens to a lot of handicappers. Look, first game overseas, why not go with the dog? I mean, and you're getting double digits.
Yeah, I mean, always take the points. That could be a solid piece of advice all throughout the college football season, especially early if you're talking about Mario Cristobal. So I'm on the fence on that one now. My initial lean was I'm listening to all the rhetoric about how lousy the Gators are going to be and how Napier is going to be gone after this year. And I'm thinking the same about Mario Cristobal, except for the fact that the UM strangled itself by offering a contract. People have been screaming at the UM administration forever, you have to get a coach and get commitment.
They did it. They did what they got to do to get a guy that was a highly sought-after coach.
Yeah.
And
now they're stuck with it, right? Because it turned out the guy was full of shit, man. He may as well have been Ted Cruz. Unbelievable. A lot of political comparisons with Mario Cristobal. And it's not like we're angry with him because he doesn't do any interviews. You talk about Kamala Harris. Yeah. This guy does nothing, right? When do you ever see Mario Cristobal actually being interviewed by somebody where they're pressing him on a few things? Like did anybody really get a lot of detail out of him about I guess he just said the same thing, which is unacceptable, that I always
he said the thing
run
that
the ball in that spot.
He said the thing that makes him look dumber. Like, well, don't then.
Yeah, I mean, have you not learned your lesson, you fool?
You dumbass. Like, I get it in video games, it's boring, but this is real life. Kneel the fucking football, man. End the game.
How could you? I mean, it was impossible, right? Inconceivable.
Games are tough.
The world was screaming as soon as that handoff took place. And of course, I mean, the likelihood that it would backfire and result in a loss was very slim also. You had to really extend yourself into the area of the absurd, the twilight zone, to lose that fucking game.
Seconds to get the ball back on their side of it at the 25, which would be something seconds. Like, they shouldn't have lost. Like, it was just bad everything.
Mayo's going all in on the Gators.
I again would not make a bet in this game because I think it's two teams in a very similar situation. And it's funny, as bad as your quarterback
was. What if you had to, though, Lubie? What if you were forced?
I would go Miami because of talent. I think talent wins out. We saw this weekend that's not the case. In sports early in the season, it definitely isn't the same factor as it is late in the season. But I would lay off the game again.
But when a guy like Cristobal, unfortunately, just as highly thought of as he is, and he was a very likable guy when he was a player. I enjoyed my whatever limited interaction I had with Mario Cristobal. Thought we had a decent relationship. You tried to get him on the show a couple of hundred times. We're able to get Mike Norvell on the program from Florida State. We actually could get Billy Napier probably if we tried. The local coaches here, of course, FAU, FIU, they're happy to get some publicity, and so they've been very generous with their time. And Tom Herman, I mean, is no slouch. as a guy to talk to, the FAU head football coach.
So we're talking to him tomorrow.
Oh, he is? He's coming on?
Yeah, he's coming on tomorrow.
Oh, beautiful. See, and that's a good thing. But, I mean,
I was supposed to get Norvell this week, too. I feel weird reaching after that abomination.
That's okay. He'll probably do
it.
Though.
Of course, we'll have him on. I'm talking about from his angle. I don't know if they're going to be as open to having him on as they once were.
Well, Coach, it really has had to reshape his schedule. Get the fuck out of here. Did they even play this week? I don't think so.
Yes, they play Monday versus
Boston
College. They play. They don't have. I don't know when they have an easy game. It's annoying.
Who are they playing?
Like Boston College, who wasn't great last year and went through a coaching change. But Bill O'Brien, as we know, for whatever he was with the Texans, was actually a pretty good college coach.
Yeah.
So it's not like it's a pushover. It's at home, but it's going to be the end of a big weekend after a fucking shitty loss. Like, it's no easy game, fucking game 2. Boston College always plays them fucking tough. Their quarterback, the same quarterback, railed off like 30 straight points last year versus a defense that ended up being a top 5 defense in the country.
You're seeing 0-2?
Easy game. So they play Monday.
I love the neurosis already about this game Monday night against BC. That you definitely should have a side bet with the great Jim Sarney. No, Boston College graduate. And maybe, I don't know if Leslie Visser wants to bet a dinner on that, but you might be able to, go ahead and get that action going also. All right, does Aaron Judge hit a home run tonight or not, Lubie? No. What are you saying? No home run tonight. I'm with you.
He may surpass 62 because he's on a fucking tear.
Oh, I would love to see that. I'm a huge Aaron Judge fan.
I just night by night, the way baseball is, when you're a slugger like that.
He just hit a couple yesterday. Are you really going to fucking throw him anything? I don't care if Stanton is behind him.
Whatever Stanton is, exactly. Stanton really.
He's a pulled hamstring away from being out of the
You're not scared of, Stanton can fuck you, but you're not scared of him. And he's never been a disciplined batter either. Like, if you're throwing to anyone, Stanton.
Throw Stanton that low breaking ball away, and, it's.
Yeah, I just don't see as a betting proposition. I would.
How blind were those little league umpires, though, man? No, that was unreal.
I didn't see any.
And the Chinese losing on an undisciplined, buffoon-like play, clown play, unreal. All right, and like I said, I mean, just an exclamation point on the Little League World Series and what Little League Baseball is really all about, atrocities when it comes to plays. That was fun, though. The fat kid from Lake Mary was a very entertaining player. He did like a little dance there, a little Juan Soto thing when he got on base. He was very, very entertaining to watch, no doubt about it. As if you're going to watch little kids butcher baseball. All right, we will see you guys tomorrow. Where are we at with the box today? What's going on with that?
We're at home today. We're home
okay. That makes life really easy for me, so that's good. All right, so we'll see you later on. Mike Mayo's Lunchbox. I had a weird dining experience, actually, where now I was in Faraday's at the Harris Casino. We had like an enormous comp on the Mustang, so we have a dinner for 4 going. The waiter had brought the wrong order out of Mustang's entree. Okay, she was supposed to get like a chicken dish, chicken Florentine. He brings her a filet mignon. All right, and is insisting that this is what she ordered. She didn't order that. We know that. So he's going to make amends, but in the meantime, you have that awkward situation where the other 3 people at the table all have their entrees, and Mustang's got nothing. Although there were a couple of sides that were bought that she was able to kind of chow down on before this dish came. But you know how that goes. When they blow your entree, Lubie, you're not really hungry by the time.
You're never going to be eating. Everyone will be done eating. You just usually take it home.
Yeah, it's weird. Okay. So we end up taking it home, but no big deal, all right? But we're in a comp, so maybe that changes our attitude a little bit. And there are people a couple of tables away. There was like a party, I guess, of 3, and they start a big stink with the waiter saying, "You're horrible. I can't believe this. We don't want this anymore. We're leaving." And then they try to involve like the Mustang in it, saying, "You blew her order over there. She didn't even get to eat, and now you do this to us."
What? What place is this? Oh, Faraday's.
It's Faraday's. I mean, there are not even that many people there. Now the waiter had made a few mistakes. I wouldn't say that he was spot on with everything, but
oh, really?
But it wasn't like he was bad or anything. It just, he happened to blow out order, and then there were a couple of other things that transpired that you looked at and said, well, I wish this guy was paying closer attention, but it wasn't like he was inattentive, Lubie. You know what I mean? I mean, it wasn't like shit happens. You had to look at it that way. But when the other people, I mean. When does that happen? When a table is upset and they're going to walk out on their food as it was being delivered because they're upset about something, and then they incorporate your table into the conversation, like they start pointing at you and saying, "Yeah, you fucked her over too." What do you do there?
We
bowed out of it. We said, hey, look, we're okay. We're having a great time, and that's the way we want to keep it.
That's what I would do. I wouldn't double down. I try to look out for the servers, even when they're frustrating. I don't try to get anyone.
Sure. I mean, the guy was trying. We gave him a very generous tip, and then he thought we ran out on a check, which was weird because Mustang had like a little comp thing that didn't cover the check. Even though, but they had added additional money to it, like and supposedly called us in. Okay. So it wasn't like we were running out, but the guy actually ended up chasing us after all of that. He ends up chasing us down the escalator.
Yeah, oh God.
Only to find out that it was all okay. It was all, and we left him a very generous tip for what transpired. But that was a weird one. All right, so a lot to talk about there. And I don't know if you had any like big time dining experiences, but
I went up to Tampa for my cousin's 50th
birthday.
So they did a big party. It was fun. Didn't really eat anything. Very low key eating.
All right. Yeah, there was a thing on Let's Eat South Florida about where can you get like the Sunday gravy with meatballs.
Anthony's.
A lot of places were mentioned, but fishtail's outstanding. In fact,
fishtails, yeah.
Oh my God, this Kathy! I mean, she does it. It's like she converted her Philadelphia background as if she was from Sicily, man.
Nice,
fucking great, yeah. And cheap too. I mean, reasonably priced. Unbelievable, generous portion.
There you go.
So I got some of that waiting for me in the fridge. I always have Mustangs cop some if she can.
Nice.
All right. So we'll see you at 1:00. Mike Mayo's Lunchbox later on today. And for Mike Lubie, I'm Jeff DeForest. Thanks for tuning in. We'll see you tomorrow. When you're saying what? We're having the FAU head coach, right?
Yes, Tom Herman will be on with us.
Tom Herman. Very good. All right. That should be a lot of fun. All right. We'll see you next time as we leave you now that.
The time.
It's 9:07.
Let's go to eat a damn snack.
Look what they done to my soul.